Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2025, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 77 years of independence and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns, and also commemorating Viksit Bharat at 2047 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today, we are commemorating International Day of Awareness on Food Loss and Waste Reduction on 29 September every year. So the theme for this year is Stop Food Loss and Waste for the People and for the Planet. So in a world where 1 in 11 people goes hungry while tons of food are lost or wasted every day, it is the time to end this troubling paradox. Reducing food loss and waste is critical, especially with a growing global population. Globally, around 13.2% of food produced is lost between harvest and retail, while an estimated 19% of total global food production is wasted in households, in the food service, and in retail altogether. Now is the time for everyone from producers to business, supply chain to consumers, governments and researchers to take urgent call to expand and strengthen efforts both individually and collectively to reduce food loss and waste towards ensuring a food secure world now and in the future. While estimated 735 million people go hungry globally, food loss and waste generate 8 to 10% of greenhouse gases and is a methane hotspot. Households waste over 1 billion meals worth of edible food every day, the equivalent of 1.3 meals every day for everyone in the world affected by hunger. Opportunities to finance food loss and waste reduction and low carbon diets remain untapped with only US dollars 0.1 billion invested annually in 2019 and 2020. So this represents a minor fraction of annual needs estimated at US dollars 48 to 50 billion. Why is it important to reduce food loss and waste? Food loss and waste undermine the sustainability of our food systems. When food is lost or wasted, all the resources that were used to produce the food, like including water, land, energy, labor, and capital, go to waste. So in addition, this disposal of food loss and waste in landfills leads to greenhouse gas emissions, contributing to the climate change. Food loss and waste can also negatively impact food security and food availability and contribute to increasing the cost of food. Our food systems cannot be resilient if they are not sustainable. Hence, the need to focus on the adaptation of integrated approach designed to reduce food loss and waste. Actions are required globally and locally to maximize the use of food we produce. The introduction of technologies, innovative solutions, including e commerce platforms for marketing, retractable mobile food processing systems, new ways of working, and good practices to manage food quality and reduce food loss and waste are key to implementing this transformative change. With 5 years left to reach the target 12.3 of Sustainable Development Goal 12, reasonable consumption and production, there is an urgent need to accelerate action to reduce food loss and waste. When reductions in the food loss occur close to the farm, they are most effective in addressing food insecurity and in elevating stress on land and water. When reductions in food waste occur downstream in the supply chain and at the consumer level, they are key to cutting greenhouse gas emissions. Packaging now contributes approximately 5.4% of global food system emissions, more than any other supply chain factor, including transportation. So there should be an increased attention to food loss and waste. Cutting food loss and waste reduces poverty and hunger and fights climate change. In terms of climate change, the damage will be reduced, taking into the account that nowadays food loss and wastage is responsible for about 7% of global greenhouse gas emissions, and nearly 30% of the world's agricultural land is currently occupied to produce food, and that is ultimately never consumed, just to name a few examples. Food loss happens at the farm due to inadequate harvesting time, climatic conditions, practice applied at harvest and handling, and challenges in marketing produce. In storage, inadequate storage, decisions made at earlier stages of the supply chain that cause products to have a shorter shelf life. In transit, good infrastructure and efficient trade logistics are key to preventing food loss. Processing and packaging play a role in preserving foods, and losses are often caused by inadequate facilities, technical malfunction, or human error. Food waste happens in the shop, the cause of or retail chains. The causes of food waste at the retail level are linked to the limited shelf life, the need for food products to meet aesthetic standards in terms of color, shape, and size, and variability in demand. In the home, consumers' waste is often caused by poor purchase and meal planning, excessive buying influenced by over large proportionate and packing sizes, confusion over labels, best before and use by, and poor in home storing. So we need to prevent this food loss as well as food waste. Now that we have identified where the loss and waste is happening. So UN and its agencies in the fight against food loss and waste, we need to be aware on the importance of food loss and waste issue and promoting global efforts towards resolving it. That is why in 2019, the 74th United Nations General Assembly designated 29 September as the International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste, via Resolution 74 by 209, recognizing the fundamental role that sustainable food production plays in promoting food security and nutrition. Andorra and San Marino played a key role in proposing the International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste, in short known as FLW. The day offers an opportunity to sharpen focus on the need to reduce FLW and how doing so can contribute to sustainable development. Considering the world's growing population, the United Nations see an urgent need in addressing the large quantities of food lost and wasted around the globe, stressing the risks implied for climate change, agriculture sustainability, human livelihoods, and food supplies. Cutting back on food loss and waste is also stated in 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and specifically Target 12.3, which calls for halving the per capita global food waste at the retail and consumer levels, as well as reducing food losses along the production and supply chains. FAO and UN Environment leading agencies in facilitating the observances of this day are currently underway to measure progress towards achieving our goals. FAO leads the efforts related to the Food Loss Index and provide guidance for policy interventions. So, making a business and economic case with profit incentives to reduce food loss and waste, and then further expand this rationale to address concerns about food insecurity. Meanwhile, UN Environment, in charge of the Food Waste Index, in short known as FWI, is committed to accelerating action through its Sustainable Food Systems program of activities which aim to raise awareness as well as catalyze action at local, regional, and international level. Today, we are also commemorating World Heart Day on September 29th. World Heart Day drives action on a global scale. 1 in 5 people will die yearly from cardiovascular disease, in short known as CVD, which claims more lives than cancer and chronic respiratory diseases combined. Yet, up to 80% of heart disease and stroke cases are preventable. So that's why every 29th September we celebrate World Heart Day to raise awareness about CVD and the importance of taking care of your heart, from individuals, families, and schools to community groups and teachers. We work together to make equitable heart health and priority and drive change across the globe. 2025 marks the 25th anniversary of World Heart Day, and our mission remains as crucial as ever. So, the theme for the World Heart Day 2025 is Don't Miss a Beat. Loved ones around the world are missing out on time they should still have to spend together due to early deaths from CVD, which is why this 29th September will tell the world don't miss a beat. You can help raise awareness of CVD and its impact by taking part in the World Heartbeat Day activations and sharing your stories. So, what are various causes for this CVD diseases or disorders? Air pollution, the world's target single environmental health risk, and Chagas disease, can cause irreversible damage to the heart. High cholesterol causes 4.4 million deaths every year. COVID 19, there are links between COVID 19 and CVD, and diabetes affect 537 million people worldwide. And poor diet is a leading risk factor for CVD, diabetes, and obesity. So, healthy diet, balanced diet should be consumed. We have more of selective diet. That's why we have initially commemorated food loss and food waste. And selective food consumption also leads to malnutrition, overnutrition, or undernutrition, depending on what kind of selected food one is consuming. Because in that, one may not get essential nutrients in adequate requirements. 64 million people are affected by heart failure globally. Hypertension is the number one risk factor for deaths globally. And learn more about links between influenza and severity and how these infections, cold, pneumonia, and various factors contribute to CVD. And one of the most important public health problems facing the world today is obesity. An estimated 80% of CVD is preventable. So let's all come together to prevent this CVD. RHD claims over 3 lakh lives each year, rheumatic heart disease. There are immediate health benefits to quitting tobacco. An estimated 80% of CVD is preventable. And serious progressive condition that affects the heart's ability to function, transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, that is ATIRCM in short, and women with CVD continue to be underdiagnosed. So these are the risk factors where we can focus. And we can take measures to prevent CVDs. So cardiovascular disease, CVD in short, is the world's number one killer, causing over 20.5 million deaths per year. So CVD is a class of diseases that affect the heart of blood vessel, the heart or blood vessels, that is veins and arteries. More people die from CVD worldwide than from any other cause. Over 20.5 million every year. Of these deaths, 85% are due to coronary heart diseases. Example, heart attacks, strokes, and cerebrovascular diseases like strokes and mostly affect low and middle income countries. Heart is the size of your fist and the strongest muscle in your body. It started beating about 3 weeks after you were conceived. So if you live to be 70, it will have beaten 2.5 billion times. However, although impressive and strong, your heart can also become vulnerable from habitat risk factors like smoking, diabetes, cholesterol, eating an unhealthy diet, or living with high blood pressure. So the system can also be weakened from a pre-existing heart condition and other physiological factors, including hypertension or high blood cholesterol when your heart's function become compromised. The system can also be weakened from a pre-existing heart condition and other physiological factors, including hypertension or high blood cholesterol when your heart's function become compromised. This is known as cardiovascular disease, a broad term that covers any disorder to the system that has the heart at its center. So we want better health and improved access to life-saving care worldwide. This World Heart Day, our mission is to make every heartbeat count. Right now, people around the world are missing out on time with loved ones, the chance to protect their own health, and the opportunities afforded by more sustainable local health systems. Too often, this is due to early and preventable loss caused by cardiovascular disease, CVD, the world's biggest killer. Ahead of the United Nations high level meeting this September, we are accelerating efforts to improve access to treatment for high blood pressure. So every minute, 8 people die due to cardiovascular diseases, CVDs, in the World Health Organization Southeast Asia region. CVDs are leading cause of deaths in this region, half of them premature in people below 70 years of age. So World Heart Day, being marked this year with the theme Don't Miss a Beat, is an opportunity for member states, World Health Organization, and stakeholders to renew our shared goal to reduce preventable and premature deaths from cardiovascular diseases. Today, we also mark 2 years since our region adopted the resolution See Hearts, Accelerating Prevention and Control of Cardiovascular Diseases. So already we have seen major risk factors for CVDs include hypertension, diabetes, tobacco use, alcohol consumption, unhealthy diets, high in salt and fats, and physical inactivity. As many as 85% of the people living with hypertension and diabetes in the region do not have their conditions under control. Coupled with aging populations and increasing urbanization, the vulnerability to CVDs is increasing, putting pressure on health systems that are already resource constrained. The Sea Hearts Revolution and resolution commits to placing 100 million people with hypertension and or diabetes on protocol based management by 2025 and accelerating over the past 2 years, policy measures and clinical interventions by our member states have shown encouraging progress. As of June 2025, public health facilities are providing protocol based management to over 90 million people under hypertension and diabetes. So, legislation to protect more than 1.7 billion people from industrially produced trans fatty acids have been enhanced across the region and enacted across the region. More than 103 million people are covered by at least three World Health Organization empower tobacco control measures, political will, and coordinated action are among key factors for this success. So, nevertheless, major challenges remain. Progress is compromised by commercial determinants of health, inadequate fiscal and regulatory measures, weak enforcement of policies, and poor monitoring of the marketing, packaging, and advertising bans on unhealthy commodities. Public awareness. Major challenges remain. Progress is compromised by commercial determinants of health, inadequate fiscal and regulatory measures, weak enforcement of policies, and poor monitoring of the marketing, packaging, advertising bans of unhealthy commodities. Public awareness of risk factors remains low. Many of our member countries lack adequate laboratory and enforcement capacity to implement legislative actions on trans fatty acids in food items, reduce sodium content in commonly used foods, and test tobacco products for harmful contents and emissions. The delivery of the quality care conditions to be processed. Public awareness of risk factors remains low. Many of our member countries lack adequate laboratory and enforcement capacity to implement legislative actions on trans fatty acids in food items, reduce sodium content in commonly consumed foods, and test tobacco products for harmful contents and emissions. The delivery of the quality So the delivery of quality care continues to be impacted by limited budget allocation to non-communicable disease programs, shortage of trained health workforce, and gaps in access to essential diagnostic tools and essential medicines at the primary care level. And turning the tide requires collective efforts of government, civil society, academia, the private sector, and communities. The whole of society approach is essential as no single actor can address CVDs in isolation. For individuals, quitting tobacco, reducing salt intake, daily physical activity, and managing stress are important steps for a healthy heart. For governments and policymakers, implementing salt reduction measures, eliminating industry produced trans fats from national food supplies, and enforcing comprehensive tobacco control laws should be among the top priorities. Primary health care must remain the frontline approach for heart health. This requires improving the availability of the protected. So on World Health Day 2025, let's join together in committing to make healthier and every heartbeat counts, every measure and every effort matters, and together let us protect each and every heart today. So let's look at a few symptoms. And also differences between various cardiovascular diseases. So cardiovascular disease, in short known as CVD, can refer to many conditions like heart disease, heart and blood vessel disease, also called as heart diseases. Includes numerous problems, many of which are related to atherosclerosis. So atherosclerosis develops when a substance called plaque builds up in the walls of arteries. The buildup this buildup narrows the arteries, making it harder for blood to flow through. If a blood clot forms, it can block the blood flow. This can cause a heart attack or stroke. So what is heart attack? A heart attack occurs when the blood flow to a part of a heart is blocked by a blood clot. If this clot completely cuts off the blood flow, the part of the heart muscle supplied by the artery begins to die. Most people survive their first heart attack and return to normal lives, enjoying many more productive years. But having a heart attack does not mean that you need to make some changes. The medicines and lifestyle changes that your healthcare professional recommends will depend on how much your heart was damaged and the sensitivity of your heart disease. So, what is stroke? The ischemic stroke is the most common type of stroke. It occurs when a blood vessel that feeds the brain gets blocked, usually from a blood clot. When the blood supply to a part of the brain is cut off, some brain cells begin to die, and this can lead to loss of function, such as walking or talking. A hemorrhage stroke occurs when a blood vessel within the brain bursts. This is often caused by uncontrolled high blood pressure. Some effects of strokes are permanent. If too many brain cells die after being starved of oxygen, these cells are never replaced. So, the good news is that sometimes brain cells don't die during a stroke. Instead, the damage is temporary. Over time, injured cells may heal and restore lost abilities. Sometimes, healthy brain cells can take over the work of damaged ones. Either way, strength may return, speech may get better, and memory may improve. This recovery process is what stroke rehabilitation is all about. Heart failure means the heart isn't pumping blood as well as it should. So, heart failure does not mean that the heart stops beating. That's common misperception. The heart keeps working, but the body's need for the blood and oxygen isn't being met. Heart failure can get worse if untreated. If your loved one has heart failure, it's very important to follow their healthcare terms and treatment plan. Arrhythmia refers to an abnormal heart rhythm. There are various types of arrhythmias. The heart can beat too slow, too fast, or irregularly. So, bradycardia, or a heart rate that's too slow, is when your heart rate is less than 60 beats per minute. Tachycardia, or a heart rate that's too fast, refers to a heart rate of more than 100 beats per minute. An arrhythmia can affect how well your heart works. With a regular heartbeat, your heart may not be able to pump enough blood to meet your body's needs. And there are also heart valve problems like stenosis is when heart valves are narrowed and don't open fully. This reduces blood to flow to the aorta and through the rest of the body. Regurgitation is when the heart valves don't close properly and also blood to leak through. Prolapse is when the valve leaflets bulge of prolapse back into the upper chamber. And these are the various heart conditions. So now, what are various treatments for different types of CVD? For heart valve problems, we have medications and heart valve surgery. Understanding your heart valve treatment options based on your condition, as recovery statistics are very good for people who receive proper treatment. Some people live long and full lives with mild valvular problems and never need surgery. But once a heart valve begins to affect the heart's ability to pump blood, it's likely to require a repair or replacement. Treatment for valve diseases will include a plan to protect your heart from further damage, assess your need for medication to help manage symptoms, repair the valve problem if needed, communicate steps for management, self care, and the importance of follow up care. Generally, once it is determined that a diseased heart valve needs treatment, the available choices are valve repair or replacement. Valve repair preserves the patient's valve and leaflets. Sometimes repairs require a minor surgical procedure, and other times repairs need a more extensive surgery. Repair is most often possible. Mitral valve regurgitation and tricuspid valve regurgitation. Valve replacement may include open heart surgery or a minimally invasive procedure such as TAVR or TAVI. So, depending on the condition, it is possible to treat valve diseases with medications or surgery, or sometimes both. So, most valve conditions can be treated with medication alone. So, however, sometimes problem isn't severe enough to require repair or valve replacement, but it's bothersome enough to cause symptoms or risk in these cases. A condition might be effectively managed for a while with medication. So, medications may be prescribed to reduce unpleasant symptoms from milder forms of the disorder, maintain heart rhythm if a related arrhythmia is present, lower the patient's risk for clotting and stroke. Heart valve disease is usually progressive. The outlook for those who receive no treatment can be poor, but many who do not receive treatment go on to live very full and healthy lives, especially when their cardiovascular risks are otherwise low. So, what happens if I don't treat my condition or ignore recommendations? So, valve disease isn't a condition that can be ignored, and you may feel fine and not notice any problems for years. But once you begin to experience symptoms such as angina, that is chest pain, syncope, fainting, or sudden loss of consciousness, and dyspnea, breathing difficulty or discomfort, life expectancy and quality of life can decline. Evidence is also clear that with proper treatment, and most people enjoy an improved in health and quality of life. So, what are the risks associated with or valve disease treatment? As with all surgeries, there are risks because every patient is different. Your doctor, your healthcare team will discuss your treatment options and recommend the best option for you. And every body is also different. So, people who have damaged, repaired, or replaced heart valves are at increased risk for developing an infection of the valve known as infective endocarditis. Carditis. So, it is true. Even the dental work can also increase risk for people with heart valve. Mostly depends. The American Heart Association does not recommend antibiotics before dental procedures, except for patients at higher risk of endocarditis. If a person has had heart valve surgery but has not had a heart valve replaced, the cardiologist or surgeon will decide if antibiotics are needed. So now, as we have seen the various issues of heart valves, let's briefly look at roles of four heart valves. We all know that we have four valves of the heart: aortic valve, pulmonary valve, tricuspid valve, and mitral valve. So, to better understand your valve condition and what your healthcare professional will discuss, it helps you to know the role each heart valve plays in healthy blood circulation. Every part of the circulatory systems must work together to deliver blood, oxygen, and nutrients to all tissues. So, what role does each play in healthy circulation? The four valves in order of circulation are: right valve has three leaflets or cusps, separates the top right chamber, right atrium, from the bottom right chamber, right ventricle, opens to allow blood to flow from the right atrium to the right ventricle, prevents the backflow of blood from the right ventricle to the right artery. Pulmonary valve or pulmonic valve has three leaflets, separates the right ventricle from the pulmonary artery, opens to allow blood to be pumped from the right ventricle to the lungs through the pulmonary artery, where it will receive oxygen. It prevents the backflow of blood from the pulmonary artery to the right ventricle. Mitral valve has two leaflets, separates the top left chamber, left atrium, from the bottom left chamber, left ventricle, opens to allow blood to flow from the left atrium to the left ventricle, prevents the backflow of blood from the left ventricle to the left atrium. An aortic valve has three leaflets unless it's abnormal from birth. Bicuspid aortic valve separates the left ventricle from the aorta, opens to allow blood to leave the heart from the left ventricle through the aorta and the body, and prevents the backflow of blood from the aorta to the left ventricle. So the valve should be in proper conditions for proper working. The valve is properly formed and flexible. The valve should open all the way so that blood can pass through. The valve should close tightly so that no blood leaks backwards into the chamber. Now let's look at arrhythmia. So various treatment options include medications, pacemaker, electric cardioversion, catheter ablation, and lifestyle changes. So let's look at medications for arrhythmia. When taken exactly as prescribed, medications can do wonders. They can help prevent heart attack and stroke. They can also prevent complications and slow the progression of coronary heart disease. So here, some of the commonly prescribed medications used to treat arrhythmia, that is abnormal heart rhythms, are summarized and presented so that it can be understood easily. So it's important to discuss all medications you take with your healthcare team and should be prescribed by them strictly. It's important to understand how they work and the possible side effects. So never stop taking a medication and never change your dose or frequency without first talking to your healthcare professional. So anti-rhythmic drugs like symptomatic tachycardias and premature beats may be treated with a variety of medications. These may be given through an IV in an emergency or orally for long-term treatment. These medications either lessen the abnormal signals from the sinus node to inhibit the movement of signals in the heart tissue that may conduct too fast or allow signals to re-enter. In patients with atrial fibrillation, a blood thinner, anticoagulant, or antiplatelet is usually added to reduce the risk of blood clots and stroke. When tachycardias or premature beats occur often, The effectiveness of medication therapy may be measured by electrocardiographic ECG monitoring in a hospital by using a 24-hour Holter monitor or by serial evaluation with electrophysiologic testing. The use of anti arrhythmic medication therapy must be balanced against two disadvantages. One is that the medications must be taken daily and indefinitely. The other is the risk of side effects. While side effects are a risk of all medication, those associated with antiarrhythmic medications can be very hard to manage. One such side effect is proarrhythmia, the more frequent occurrence of pre-existing arrhythmias or the appearance of new abnormal heart rhythms. Calcium channel blockers, also known as calcium antagonists, work by interrupting the movement of calcium into heart and blood vessel tissue. Besides treating high blood pressure, they also treat angina, chest pain, and or some abnormal heart rhythms. Beta blockers decrease the heart rate and cardiac output, which lowers blood pressure by blocking the effects of adrenaline. They are also used with therapy of arrhythmias and in treating angina pectoris. Medications like anticoagulants, which are also known as blood thinners, work by making it harder for the blood to clot or coagulate. They aren't designed to dissolve existing blood clots. They prevent new clots from forming or existing clots from getting larger. Because a common type of stroke is caused by blood clot obstructing blood flow to the brain. Anticoagulants are often prescribed for people with certain conditions to prevent a first stroke or to prevent the recurrence of stroke. Anticoagulants are also given to the people at risk for forming blood clots, such as those with artificial heart valves or who have atrial fibrillation. So, when taking medications, take all medications exactly as prescribed. Never stop taking any prescription or medication without first consulting your healthcare professional. Tell your healthcare professional about any side effects you have. Tell your healthcare team about all your medications and supplements, including over the counter medications, herbs, and vitamins. Many rhythmic disorders, especially tachycardias, respond to medications. These medications can't cure the abnormal heart rhythm, but they can improve symptoms. They do this by preventing the episodes from starting, decreasing the heart rate during the episode, of shortening how long it lasts. Sometimes it's hard to find the best medications for a child. Several types may be needed to be tried before the right one is found. Some children must take medication every day. Others need them only when they have a tachycardia type episode. So it's very important to take the medication as prescribed. All medications have side effects, including drugs to treat abnormal heart rhythms. Most of the side effects aren't serious but disappear when the dose is adjusted or the medication is stopped. But some side effects are very serious. That's why some children are admitted to the hospital to begin the medication. If your child is prescribed medication, it is very important that your child takes it exactly as prescribed and is under observation. It's often necessary to monitor how much of the medication is in your child's blood. The goal is to make sure that there's enough of the medication to be effective, but not too much that harmful side effects occur. The blood test requires taking a small amount of blood from the vein or the finger. It's good idea to talk to your child about this before you visit with your healthcare professional. Some medications are also called blood thinners because they can help stop a blood clot from forming. There are two main types of blood thinners that people commonly take: Anticoagulants such as warfarin, dabigatran, rivaroxaban, and antiplatelet drugs such as aspirin, clopidogrel. Each type of medication has a specific role to prevent a blood clot from forming or causing a blocked blood vessel, heart attack, or stroke. So that is related to medication. So another treatment option is pacemaker. So what is pacemaker? A pacemaker is a small battery operated device that helps the heart beat in a regular rhythm. Traditional pacemakers have three parts: a generator, wires, that is LEDs, and sensors, electrodes. Some newer pacemakers are wireless. It produces electrical impulses to help control abnormal heartbeats. It's implanted under the skin through a small incision on your chest, just under the collarbone, or sometimes in the stomach area. The traditional pacemaker is connected to your heart through tiny wires, that is LEDs. These are implanted at the same time. The impulses flow through these wires to your heart. The sensors electrodes are at the end of the wires detect abnormal heartbeats and deliver electrical impulses to return your heart to its normal rhythm. There are different types of traditional pacemakers. Single lead pacemakers use one lead usually placed in the right ventricle, the lower right chamber of your heart. Dual lead pacemakers use one lead in the right atrium and one lead in the right ventricle. Biventricular pacemakers, also called cardiac resynchronization therapy or CRT, use three leads. They are placed in the right atrium, right ventricle, and left ventricle. Wireless pacemakers are smaller than traditional ones. The pulse generator and electrodes are all in one device. Placement of the pacemaker doesn't require surgery. It's placed inside your heart through a catheter, that is small tube inserted through one of your veins. Once in place, the pacemaker sends impulse to the right ventricle. So why do you need one? If your healthcare professional may suggest a pacemaker to make your heartbeat more regular, if your heartbeat is too slow and often irregular, your heartbeat is sometimes normal and sometimes too fast or too slow. So how does a pacemaker work? Now, the sinus node is the heart's natural pacemaker. It is a small mass of specialized cells in the top of the right atrium, upper chamber of the heart. It produces the electrical impulses that cause your heart to beat. A chamber of the heart contracts when an electrical impulse or signal moves across it. For the heart to beat properly, the signal must travel down a specific path to reach the ventricles, the heart's lower chambers. When the heart's natural pacemaker is defective, the heartbeat may be too fast, too slow, or irregular. Rhythm problems can also occur because of a blockage of abnormality of your heart's electrical pathways. An artificial pacemaker replaces the heart's defective natural pacemaker functions. Most pacemakers work only when they are needed, like demand pacemakers. So demand pacemakers have a sensing device. It shuts the pacemaker off if the heartbeat is above a certain rate. When the heartbeat is slower than the pacemaker rate, the sensing device turns the pacemaker on again. The sensors, electrodes at the end of the wires, that is LEDs, detect abnormal heartbeats and deliver electrical impulses to return to your heart to its normal rhythm. Another option is cardioversion. If your heart has an irregular, uneven beat or is beating too fast or too slow, cardioversion is a way to restore a regular rhythm. There are two kinds of cardioversion. Your doctor may give you one or more medications to bring back your regular heartbeat. This is called pharmacological or pharmacologic chemical cardioversion. Doctors also restore regular rhythms by sending an electric shock to the heart. This is called electrical cardioversion. So, why do people need cardioversion? People have non emergency or elective cardioversion to treat arrhythmias. The electrical signals that control your heartbeat start in the upper right chamber of your heart, atrium. In atrium fibrillation, very fast, irregular electrical signals move through the body, uh, both upper chambers of your heart. This can make your heartbeat fast and irregular. Some people who have atrial fibrillation don't notice any changes in the way they feel, but others feel very tired, heart palpitations, short of breath, dizzy, or faint. So, cardioversion also treats other kinds of abnormal heartbeats, including atrial flutter, atrial tachycardia, and ventricular tachycardia. So, cardioversion or defibrillation is also used in emergency situations for people who suffer sudden life-threatening arrhythmias. There are also risks associated with this treatment modality. If you have atrial fibrillation, blood clots can form in your heart's left atrium. Cardioversion may knock loose a blood clot in your left atrium. If the clot travels to your brain, it can cause a stroke. To avoid this, your doctor may give you medicine such as warfarin to make your blood less likely to form blood clots. If your doctor gives a medication, you may need to take it 3 or 4 weeks before the procedure. So, TE is often used to check for the presence of blood clots before this procedure, that is transesophageal echocardiography. Complications are uncommon but may include allergic reactions to the medications, irritation of the skin on your chest or back where the electrodes were applied during the electrical cardioversion, the potential for new or worsened arrhythmia that will need to be treated with medications, a pacemaker, or an implantable cardioverter defibrillator, in short known as ICD. Other option is ablation for arrhythmias, like catheter ablation is a procedure that uses radio frequency energy similar to microwave heat to destroy a small area of the heart tissue that is causing rapid and irregular heartbeats. So, destroying this tissue helps restore your heart's regular rhythm. Catheter ablation destroys the abnormal tissue without damaging the rest of the heart. This procedure is also called radio frequency ablation. So, special cells in your heart create electrical signals that travel along pathways to the chambers of your heart. These signals make the heart's upper and lower chambers beat in proper sequence. Abnormal cells may create disorganized electrical signals that cause irregular or rapid heartbeats called arrhythmias. When this happens, your heart may not pump blood effectively and you may feel faint, short of breath, and weak. So you may also feel your heart is pounding. So medications are used to treat rapid and irregular heartbeats in many people, but they don't work for everyone and they may cause side effects in some people. In these cases, catheter ablation may be suggested. The procedure is used most often to treat a condition called supraventricular tachycardia or SVT, which occurs because of abnormal conduction fibers in the heart. Catheter ablation is also used to help control other heart rhythm problems, such as atrial flutter and atrial fibrillation. So, this procedure is generally safe. Complications are rare but may include arrhythmias, bleeding where the catheter is inserted, infection, blood clots, heart or blood vessel damage, damage to the artery where the catheter was inserted. Now, how do we prevent? Most abnormal heart rhythms or arrhythmias are considered harmless and are left untreated. Once your healthcare professionals has documented that you have an abnormal heart rhythm, they will need to find out where it's abnormal or just reflects the heart's normal process. They will also find out whether your arrhythmia is clinically significant, that is, whether it causes symptoms or puts you at risk for more serious abnormal heart rhythms or complications or arrhythmias in the future. If your arrhythmia is abnormal and clinical significant, a treatment plan will be developed. So treatment goals include prevent blood clots from forming to reduce stroke risk, especially for people with atrial fibrillation. Control your heart rate within a relatively normal range. Restore a normal heart rhythm if possible. Treat heart disease condition that may be causing arrhythmia. Reduce other risk factors for a heart disease and stroke. So living with arrhythmias, taking medications, take all medications exactly as prescribed. Never stop taking any prescription medication without talking to your healthcare professional. Tell your healthcare professional about any side effects you have. Tell your healthcare professional about all your other drugs and supplements, including over the counter medications and vitamins. Track your medications and monitor your pulse. You should know how to take your pulse, especially if you have an artificial pacemaker. Put the second and third fingers on one hand one hand on the inside of the wrist of the other hand, and just below the thumb or on the side of your neck, just below the corner of your jaw. Feel for the pulse. Count the number of beats in 1 full minute. Keep a record of your pulse along with the day and time taken and notes about how you feel at that time. Certain substances can contribute to an abnormal heartbeat, such as smoking, long term excessive alcohol use, medication used to treat certain mental illness, medications to treat abnormal heart rhythms. The same medicines used to treat arrhythmias can also cause abnormal heart rhythms. Your healthcare team will monitor arrhythmias carefully if you are taking these medications. Beta blockers for high blood pressure, illegal drugs such as cocaine, marijuana, and methamphetamines. So if you are treated by arrhythmia and use of any of these substances, be sure to discuss with your healthcare professional. Manage your risk factors. Having certain arrhythmias increases your risk of heart attack, cardiac arrest, and stroke. With your healthcare team, discuss and follow the instructions to control other risk factors like reducing high blood pressure, control cholesterol levels, lose excess weight, eat a healthy diet, especially heart healthy diet, avoid tobacco, smoke, and vaping, and avoid alcohol, and enjoy regular physical activity. The best thing you can do is to follow your treatment plan and take things one day at a time. Sometimes you may feel that you don't get the support you need and that the people around you aren't very understanding. That's common because others don't really see your symptoms. It's hard for them to understand that you might be struggling to function normally. Help others to understand by educating them about your condition and by asking their support to help follow your treatment program. Now let's look at heart attack and various treatment modalities. Like we have treatment options like medications, coronary angioplasty, coronary artery bypass, graft surgery, heart transplant or other heart surgery, radiofrequency ablation, stent procedure, transmyocardial revascularization, and lifestyle changes. Do you have any clarifications or observations or any doubts, any questions? You can leave it in chat box. We'll be taking, I'm checking once in a while, stopping and checking the messages. So if there are any, I will be addressing them. Sometimes the queries are addressed in the presentation itself. So that's why I'm taking some time in between. So that whenever I'm discussing, I'm including those for your reference. Okay. So now let's see about heart procedures and surgeries. If you have had a heart attack or anyone had a heart attack and you are likely had some treatments to help you survive and find out what's wrong. One common treatment is thrombolysis, where doctors inject medication to dissolve clots and restore blood flow. This should be done within 30 minutes of arriving at the hospital for best results. If not done right way, you may need other procedure to improve blood flow to your heart. These may include coronary angioplasty and stenting or coronary artery bypass graft surgery, in short known as CABG. So coronary angioplasty, also known as percutaneous coronary interventions, PCI, balloon angioplasty, and coronary artery angioplasty. So a special tube with a small balloon is put into your heart arteries. The balloon is blown up to the open blocked areas where blood flow is reduced or stopped. A stent is often used to keep the artery open and lower the chance of another blockage. This method doesn't involve open heart surgery, and the procedure takes 30 minutes to a few hours. It may require an overnight hospital stay. So why this procedure is required? Because to greatly increase, as this procedure greatly increases blood flow through the blocked artery and decreases chest pain, that is angina, and increases ability for physical activity that has been limited by angina or ischemia. So medications prescribed post-procedure may include to prevent complications and to put you on the best path to recovery. We'll discuss laser angioplasty, where It is like angioplasty, but the catheter has a laser tip that opens the blocked artery. Pulses laser light destroy the plaque buildup. It increases blood flow through blocked arteries. And we have another procedure, atherectomy. It's like angioplasty, but the catheter has a rotating shaver on its tip to cut away the plaque from the artery. So it increases blood flow through the blocked artery by removing plaque buildup. May also be used in carotid arteries, major arteries of the neck leading to the brain to remove plaque and reduce the risk of stroke. Bypass surgery, also known as coronary artery bypass graft surgery or CABG, or pronounced as cabbage. This treatment uses arteries or veins from other parts of your body to go around blocked heart arteries and restore blood flow to your heart. You might need more than one bypass depending on how many arteries are blocked. This procedure needs several days in hospital for recovery. So you may be referred to CABG if you have chest pain, diabetes, heart attack due to coronary artery disease, multiple blocked coronary arteries, or heart failure. So medications may be prescribed post-procedure. And other modality is heart transplant. A transplant removes a diseased heart and replaces it with a healthy heart from organ donation. So it is recognized as a proven procedure to restore heart health in select patients. And it is minimally invasive heart bypass surgery, also known as minimally invasive direct coronary artery bypass, robot assisted coronary artery bypass, or keyhole heart surgery. This is another type of treatment. This surgery creates a bypass for blood and oxygen to reach your heart without stopping the heart. The surgeon makes small cuts in the chest to reach your heart. The surgeon locates and prepares an artery on your chest wall to connect to your blocked coronary artery. So this manages blockage of blood flow to the heart and improves the supply of blood and oxygen to the heart, relieves chest pain, reduces risk of heart attack, improves ability for physical activity. Another procedure is stent replacement. A stent is a wire mesh tube used to place during angioplasty to hold an artery open. The stent stays in artery forever. So coronary narrowings can form again within the stents and are referred to as restenosis. So it holds the artery open, improves the blood flow to the heart muscle, and relieves chest pain. So medications that may be prescribed post-procedure. We'll discuss about medications. So transmyocardial revascularization, in short known as TMR, a cut is made on the left breast to reach the heart. A laser makes a series of holes from the outside of the heart into the pumping chamber. Sometimes TMR is combined with bypass surgery. This needs a cut through the breastbone. TMR usually requires a hospital stay. It is used to relieve severe chest pain, angina in very ill people who would not have fully restored blood flow by cabbage or angioplasty alone, or maybe at increased risk of heart attack. So types of heart medications. There are anticoagulants, antiplatelet agents, and dual antiplatelet therapy, ACE inhibitors, angiotensin 2 receptor blockers, beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, cholesterol lowering medications, diuretics, vasodilators. So some commonly prescribed anticoagulants include apixaban, dabigatran, edoxaban, heparin, rivaroxaban, warfarin. So sometimes called by blood thinners, although they do not actually thin the blood, decreases the clotting ability of the blood. They are used to treat certain blood vessel, heart, and lung conditions. It helps to prevent blood clots from forming the blood vessels, may prevent the clots from becoming larger and causing more serious problems, and often prescribed to prevent first or recurrent stroke or heart attack. Antiplatelet agents and dual antiplatelet therapy, in short known as DAPT, commonly prescribed drugs include aspirin, clopidogrel, dipyridamole, prasugrel, ticagrelor. These keep blood clots from forming by preventing blood platelets from sticking together. It helps stop clotting in people who have had a heart attack, unstable angina, that is pain, ischemic strokes, TIA, transient ischemic attacks, and other forms of cardiovascular disease, and can be used preventively when plaque buildup is evident, but there is not yet a major blockage in the artery, can stop clots from forming inside stents or after coronary bypass graft surgery. Certain people will also be prescribed aspirin and other antiplatelet drug. This is known as dual antiplatelet therapy, DAPT in short. So dual antiplatelet therapy, some people are treated with two types of antiplatelet agents at the same time to prevent blood clotting. It can be also used for people who have heart attacks, stents placed in the coronary arteries, coronary artery bypass graft surgery, stroke and transient ischemic attacks, angioplasty. So one antiplatelet agent is aspirin. Many people with coronary artery disease are treated with aspirin for the rest of their lives. A second antiplatelet agent called P2Y12 inhibitor is usually prescribed for months or years in addition to the aspirin therapy. The type of medication and the length of treatment will vary based on your condition and other risk factors. Talk to your healthcare professional about the risks and benefits of DAPT. Angiotensin converting enzyme, that is ACE inhibitors, are another type of medication. Some commonly prescribed include benazepril, captopril, enalapril, posinopril, lisinopril, moxapril, perindopril, quinapril, ramipril, trandopril. So these are used for relaxing and widening blood vessels, lower blood pressure, make it easier for the heart to pump blood. So it is used to treat or improve symptoms of cardiovascular conditions, including high blood pressure and heart failure. They also provide health benefits to people who have a heart attack. Like this, various medications are there. Due to time constraints, we are not covering everything in detail. Now let's look at types of stents used to open coronary arteries. There are bare metal stents, which are simple metal mesh tubes, biodegradable stents, which are temporary and dissolve after a few months, drug-eluting stents that are coated and medication is released into the artery over time. This helps prevent the artery from narrowing again. So placing a stent is done through a minimally invasive procedure called percutaneous coronary intervention, PCI, or angioplasty. Your doctor will insert a thin flexible tube called a catheter into your heart's blood vessels. This tube has a balloon at the end, which will be inflated to open the narrowed artery and place the stent. After the procedure, you will be likely be prescribed blood thinners to prevent blood clots from blocking the artery again. These medications may include aspirin, clopidogrel, diphenhydramine, and dicloprid. You may need to take them for a year or longer as per the medical prescription. Watch for complications after getting a stent. The risk of blood clot is low unless you stop taking your blood thinners. Chest pain might be a symptom of restenosis. This is when the artery narrows again due to tissue growth. This can lead to a heart attack if restenosis happens. You might need another procedure such as placing a drug-eluting stent. And finally, lifestyle changes to prevent a heart attack. Healthy habits are best defense against your heart attack. So you can reduce some risk factors for heart disease by not smoking, by stopping alcohol consumption, exercising, eating healthy, getting enough sleep, and being at a healthy weight. You should also work with your healthcare professionals, keep your cholesterol, blood pressure, and blood sugar at healthy levels. Choose good nutrition. A healthy diet is one of the best weapons to fight heart disease. The food you eat can affect other controllable risk factors: cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar levels, and weight. Choose nutrient rich foods over nutrient poor foods. Nutrient rich foods have vitamins, minerals, fiber, and other nutrients, but are low in calories. Choose a healthy diet high in vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. Include low fat dairy products, skinless poultry, fish, legumes, non tropical vegetable oils, and nuts. Limit saturated and trans fats, red and processed meats, added sugars, sugar sweetened beverages, and sodium. Try to avoid any meat products or dairy products, and also these soft drinks and hard drinks and so on. To stay a healthy weight, balance your diet with your physical activity so you burn up as many calories as you take in. Be physical active, sit less and move more. Try to be physical active every day, at least 150 minutes per week of moderate intensive physical activity can help lower blood pressure and cholesterol. It can also help you keep your weight at a healthy level. If you are inactive now, start slow. Even a few minutes at a time may offer some health benefits. Aim for a healthy weight. Eating too many calories and getting too little physical activity can increase your risk of becoming overweight or obese. Many people have a hard time losing weight, but even modest weight loss, 5% to 10% of body weight, can help reduce your risk. Weight loss can help improve high blood pressure and cholesterol. It also can help control diabetes. You can reach and maintain a healthy weight with good nutrition, controlling calorie intake, being physically active. Get enough sleep. Getting a good night's sleep every night is vital to your heart health. The amount and quality of sleep you get can affect the eating habits, mood, memory, internal organs, and more. Too much or too little sleep can be harmful. Adults should aim for an average of 7 to 9 hours a night of sleep. You can improve the quality of your sleep by being physically active during the day, creating a bedtime routine, keeping your electronic devices out of bedroom. Reduce stress. Stress can lead to unhealthy habits such as smoking or drinking, overeating, and not being physically active. Chronic stress may lead to high blood pressure. These factors can increase your risk for the heart disease and stroke. Find healthy ways to manage stress, such as exercising regularly, making time for friends and family, practicing relaxation techniques. Limit alcohol. Drinking too much alcohol can raise blood pressure, increase cardiomyopathy, stroke, cancer, and other diseases, contribute to high triglycerides, cause irregular heartbeats, contribute to obesity, alcoholism, suicides, and accidents. So try to avoid alcohol or completely stop taking alcohol. Anyway, there is no benefit of consuming alcohol. If you don't drink, then don't start. If you drink, limit yourself slowly and try to stop over a period of time. If you are a woman, then be more careful that you don't inculcate these habits or stop as early as possible. So, with this, we shall conclude this session here. If you have any queries, you are welcome. Share your observations. Okay, if there are none, then we can conclude here. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this celebrations and commemorations. We request everyone to quickly fill the feedback form. Kindly fill all the details. Incomplete, invalid, incorrect details and forms will not be considered for certificate generation. The certificates are prepared from this data. So we request everyone to fill all the fields with proper details so that you'll be able to receive your certificates within a week's time. That Google Drive link will be updated on the website as well as in the WhatsApp group. Kindly stay in group and keep attending future events. So thank you once again for joining us. The feedback form has been raised in the form of polls. It will be open for another 5 to 10 minutes for you all to respond. So after filling up the feedback form, you may leave the platform. So see you all tomorrow at the same time with the same joining link with different commemorations and celebrations. Take care. Good night.